So, hello everybody. I hope you guys are doing absolutely amazing. It's a beautiful evening here, and this, of course, you know what it is already: sorghum. There's a reason grains are grown all over the world and why they're such an important food staple. That's, of course, because they pack tons of energy, yeah, and nutrition, and are fairly easy to grow. But that ease tends to be on a very large scale when it comes to processing and everything. You're not going to get much out of just a little tiny area. But sorghum here is quite the exception. I've grown sorghum on small scale for me and my birds for years, and it's proven to be just absolutely amazing. And that's a real shame because most sorghum, basically all sorghum, I'm up in the air here looking up, grown in the US is for wild bird seed. That's it. They're brown types with a lot of tannins in them, and they're basically inedible to humans because they're so bitter and filled with tannins. Look at some of those heads. Just beautiful. This is a dwarf sorghum, actually. But back to the bird seed. Most of it's just crappy, low quality, grown for wild birds, not for humans. It's not even fed to livestock, really, because most of them don't eat it. It tastes so horrible. But I was very lucky not too long ago to get a hold of this variety right here, and I'll just call it Sudanese white. It has very large snow white kernels on it, as you can see. Just beautiful, beautiful sorghum. Snow white, nice and fat, plump, filled with just gorgeous starch. Nice white starch in there. And it has a really nice light flavor depending on how you cook it. And it has been just amazing. Like one of the other varieties that I grow, which is a Early Shallu, that is brown, but it's got less tan in it, so it is actually pretty good for eating, but still earthier flavored, you know what I mean? Where there are basically zero white varieties that are high production and made for humans to eat. There are sorghum syrups where you grow them for the stock to make syrup out of them, like sugar cane, but a lot of those don't really have tasty seeds, kernels, and even so, the only other really white variety out there is called Tarahumara white, but it's a smaller seed, and it just doesn't do well. It's a very, very long season and just has never done well for me. But this one here, like I said, very lucky to have gotten hold of it, and I've grown it a couple years now, and it's proven to be really amazing. Now, this stand right here, we're in late October, has been cut 4 times this year. I've cut it 4 times, 4 seed head harvest off of it, and these are pretty big seed heads. I mean, some of those up there are as big as my fist. You're getting 4 or 5 ounces of seed off each head, which is just absolutely amazing. You can grow these really dense, and unlike corn, sorghum can go with a lot less moisture, and some varieties even less nutrition, poor soil, and this is one of them. This guy has proven to be very drought tolerant, very poor soil tolerant, and very precocious. These start heading at only about 40-50 days, and you can get your first harvest within about 60 days of nice plump kernels on there. And if you want them dried, they take a little bit longer, but about 70-80 days, which is not bad. And then after that, you can harvest the heads on a homestead, or even cut it completely to the ground like I've done, and they grow back from the base faster than they already were because they have the root system down, and they will push out another stock, more heads. And I've done that 4 times this year, which is really amazing to get 4 harvests off of it. Even if you can't get a harvest like that, you could easily, in most places in the United States, get 2 harvests off of this. And even if you only got one harvest off of it, one seed harvest, and then cut it to feed your livestock, that is still absolutely amazing just how productive and the size of these seed heads. Now, the one issue that I have really here in Florida is, of course, the seed heads are bunching, you know. They're bunched seed heads. Oh, excuse me. So the bugs can be a huge issue. Sorghum is extremely resistant to armyworms, unlike corn. Armyworms will completely 100% devastate a corn crop, where sorghum, they won't do that to sorghum. But the sucking insects can be a real issue, because especially with a tight head like this, they can just walk from kernel to kernel to kernel, and one sucking insect, one proboscis in each kernel, and that seed head is unfortunately dead. And they can be really bad. The beginning of the year after winter, the sucking insects aren't really out yet, so I got a really great harvest. And then the second harvest, there was some damage. Third harvest was the worst. There was quite a bit of damage to my seed heads because of the sucking stink bugs. They all have that smell, so they're all stink. Boom. I always get the hiccups when I'm talking to you guys. You know, they all stink. They all smell like apple or cheese or something, but they all suck, you know, those damn proboscis poking your crops. And the third harvest of this was horrible. It was pretty damaged. But we're later in the year now, and it's really cooling off. So all those little bastards and sucking insects, those stink bugs, are hibernating, laying their long season eggs, and disappearing. So I had it great. This crop is amazing. I'll probably get 10 pounds of sorghum off just my little bed here, which you can see they're all around me. Been harvesting them here. You're up in the air because these stalks are about 6 feet. And that is not bad, but just beautiful stalks. Here's another one. Just gorgeous. Look at those stalks, guys. Not stalks, heads of beautiful, fat, white seeds, white kernels. And like I said, it's a shame they're not more widely grown as a human food, because there could really be some amazing varieties worked on. And there's not, but that's okay. That's what I'm doing. This variety here, I'm hoping to make it just a little smaller. It's not a super dwarf type, which a super dwarf type is only like 3 feet tall. This variety is still about 5 to 6 feet tall, but that beats something like my Early Shallu, which easily gets 8 to 15 feet tall, depending on how much water you're giving it. So this is definitely a major improvement at only about 6 feet. But the heads are so large and so productive, it's really worth growing. And as for eating, which, you know, raise your hand if you've eaten sorghum. Very few people have. And it's, like I said, it's a real shame. But you can actually pop these kernels just like popcorn. You dry them a little bit, put a little bit of oil in your pan. They pop just like little popcorns. Popped sorghum. And it's got a better flavor. Super nutty little popped sorghum corns, whatever you want to call them. So you can do that. Great to eat that. Just put a little salt on it, a little butter, eat that. Or you can harvest them still when they're nice and milky. These are starting to dry out. And when they're nice and milky, you just blanch them. You know, you winnow it out, just rub it between your hands, and the little kernels will fall off. And when they're still in the milk stage, you basically blanch it like sweet corn. And it just tastes amazing. It's not really sweet, but it's got like a creamy, nutty flavor to it. And in that milk stage, it has light sweetness. Not as sweet as sweet corn, but absolutely a delicious way to do that, which I doubt anybody in the U.S. has ever eaten sorghum like that. And it's a really great way to do it, but you got to grow it yourself to do that. Harvest it in the milk stage. Or you just let them dry and you can make popcorn out of it. Or it's really great in soups and stews. If you've never had barley stew or beef and barley stew, where you put the whole barley in, this works just like that. You can do it with something like my Early Shallu, but it's a little earthier tasting, which is great. I love it. It's just got a stronger flavor, where this one right here is kind of corny flavored when you cook it like that. But you basically just get your dried white sorghum here, winnow it out, you throw it in a pot with a bit of salt and water and boil it till it's tender, and it's got not a sweet corny flavor, but like a corny, just great flavor. I don't know what else to say to it. And you can just make a sorghum soup out of it, or add it to stews or anything. Eat it in place of rice, boil it until it's out of water, let it sit, and it's just absolutely delicious, guys. Really. So if you're wanting to be more self-sufficient and grow more food, forget trying to grow wheat. Wheat's way too long, way too many pests, needs way too much input. Same with oats, same with barley, same with corn, guys. Corn is a difficult one. If you don't give it a good spot to grow and you don't keep the bugs off of it, it can be a nightmare to grow corn and some of those other grains. But sorghum is very, very underutilized and way overlooked. So grow food, guys. Grow some freaking sorghum. It's tasty. It's productive. It's super, super easy to grow. And you can feed it to your livestock as well, the greens, and harvest multiple times. And heck, if you don't get a frost or a hard freeze, the stuff is perennial. You can keep cutting it back, fertilize it, a little bit more pea, put some pea around it, some manure, just to, give it an extra boost after it does put so much into seed production. And you can literally keep cutting it to the ground, and that base will just keep sending up new shoots. And like I said, 4 harvests I got this year. 4 head harvest, 4 times it was cut and fed to my goats and my cows. Crazy, and the pigs like it too. So, sorghum, this is the grain you really want to be looking into. And again, there's not very many awesome varieties for people to eat, but this one is huge white kernels, beautiful, delicious looking, and great flavor. I'm just going to call it white, even though I think, I don't know if it was called white sorghum. I believe it was a variety that came out of Africa a few years ago, and I managed to get some seed on it. And it is definitely proven to be everything. So check out the links below, guys. I have very little seed. I just don't have that much. But if you're interested, I can send you a couple 100 seeds, and that is more than enough to get your own harvest going next year and really, really grow food. Or if you want, you can even get these started in pots over the winter if you absolutely wanted to, and plant them out. Look at that big head. That's a huge head over there. That head right there is easily going to have 6 ounces, 7 ounces of seed on it. Crazy. And these are small heads. These actually withstood Hurricane Ian and didn't fall over. Some of the first heads on these guys were huge. I did not weigh them, but some were over 10 ounces on some of these heads throughout the year. I've gotten just super productive. But either way, like I was saying, get to growing food, guys, and grow this very underutilized crop. Love you. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you're amazing. Like and subscribe. Get some seeds of this variety. Grow yourself some sorghum. Like I said, tastes great. You can use it to make flour, put it in your soups and stews, make popcorn, feed it to your livestock. There you go. And this one does not have those super, super bitter tannins. Very nice, nutty, sometimes even corny flavor, depending on how you cook it. And yeah, super delicious. Peace out. Sorghum. See how close I can get. Nice shot there for you guys. Look at those. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Give me a thumbs up, guys. Go buy yourself some seed, and I'll send it your way. I appreciate it.